I'm going to tell you why these 5 NFL teams are being slept on heading into the 2025 season. My name is Harrison Graham, and you are watching for Verts, where we talk NFL and college football every single day. And if you want to support this channel and if you want free football content, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to do so, then we'll get to the rest of the video. 5, 4, 3, skipped 4, 2, 1. Please subscribe. Let's get into it. Okay, number 1. I think the Dallas Cowboys, maybe for the first time in my life, are actually being overlooked. We always overhype this team, right? America's team, and this is the year. I'm not saying they're going to go to an NFC championship or a Super Bowl or anything, but the data tells us that when Dak Prescott is healthy, this is more often than not a playoff team. When he starts, they win 62% of the time in the regular season, 76-46 as a starter in the NFL. Obviously, he started a bit slow last year. Dallas' season was kind of unraveling. He gets hurt, and then it just never got on the tracks. But you look at his season-by-season outputs and wins and losses, there a lot of good results. Right? I mean, last year he started 3-5 again. I'm not saying they would have had another 11-win season a year ago, but in 2021, 22, and 23, as a team, they went 12-5. He missed a handful of games there in 2022, obviously. But the point is, Dak wins a lot. I think it's easy to make fun of the Cowboys, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Jerry Jones is kind of a nut. He's frugal. The way they operate as a mom-and-pop organization, and ultimately their lack of playoff success the last 30 years, it's like, oh, the Cowboys are a joke. They're actually not a joke. Like, they're a above-average NFL franchise that hasn't won a lot in the playoffs. Like, that is the truth. That's what the data tells us. So don't confuse the lack of playoff success with this being the Cleveland Browns, because that is not the case here. I think if Dak plays 17 games, this is probably a wild card type of team. They'll probably be anywhere from 8 to 11 wins, which even on the low end, that would be an improvement. I expect Dallas to be a competitive team this year. The defense, assuming the Micah deal gets worked out, should at least be decent. And you add George Pickens to that receiving room. If Dak's healthy, that passing attack should be pretty lethal with CeeDee Lamb. I think for the first time, like I said, maybe ever in my life, we're actually overlooking the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, Arizona. I think this is a pretty interesting team this year. And you always look at that third year for a head coach, right? Jonathan Gannon gets the job a couple of years ago. They only won 4 games his first year, but they were scrappy. They were in a lot of games. Last year, they go 8-9. I actually think you look more at Kyler Murray than Jonathan Gannon for, is this going to work? I think Gannon's pretty safe there. You go from 4 to 8 wins from year 1 to year 2. Austin Fort seems to like him, the GM. He's made some good moves to bolster this football team. Can Kyler Murray be more consistent, not just week in and week out, but series in, series out, play to play? Because his highs are an elite quarterback in the NFL, but his lows are just bad football, right? Like, you got to tighten that up a little bit if you're Kyler Murray, and part of it is just his size, his play style. It's never going to be Mr. Consistent, but it's got to be better than what it's been over the last couple of years, and I think the cards are pretty close. Under Gannon, they have lost 10 one-score games the last 2 years. And last year, they lost a ton of tight games. Otherwise, they could have been a playoff team. I think they're pretty close, and I think that comes down to couple of improvements on the roster, Kyler playing a little better. I think Gannon's done a pretty good job as a coach. They've been more competitive than people thought, especially that first year. I know they only went 4-13, but they were in a lot of games. I think Arizona could surprise some people this year and be a playoff team. And by the way, when I go through these 5 teams as we go to the Titans next, I'm not saying like these are teams that I am predicting to make the playoffs. I think they're just teams that are being slept on a bit. Like most people would probably say Tennessee is going to suck, and they might. But they went 4-13 last year, and how many weeks were we saying, oh my God, Will Levis just gave another game away? I went back through the games. He basically gave away 4 games. 4 games. And if he's just not, forget turnovers, period, in a vacuum. He's literally handing the ball to the other team. I go back to week 1. Tennessee was up 17-0 on Chicago, and Will Levis just starts turning the ball over. He's literally getting sacked on one play, and I think he right hand shovel backhand passes it to the sideline, and it's picked off for a pick six, and they lose by a touchdown. The next week, he has an awful turnover against the Jets. They lose by a touchdown. Later in the year, against C.J. Beathard and the Jags, he has multiple turnovers, and they lose 10-6. And he also had another bad game in there, I think against the Colts in Week 6, against the Joe Flacco-led team, where he had multiple bad turnovers. Like, if he just took care of the ball, generated more big plays, they probably win 7 or 8 games last year. So now you look ahead to this year. At worst, you're going to have some level of an upgrade at quarterback. Now, Cam Ward's a rookie. It could go a million ways. He could be really good. He could be pretty bad. He could be up and down. Let's say he's the 22nd best quarterback in the NFL. That's a pretty notable upgrade. The defense is solid. In a lot of metrics last year, they were top half and top 10 in several. Yards allowed, I think they were top 5, actually. Now, they got a little skewed because the Titans' offense was so bad that they were just giving up touchdowns offensively. But I do think it's an above-average defense, and they're in a bad division. They're with the Texans, Jags, and I'm drawing a blank, the Colts. Like, Houston should be good, but the other two teams have major question marks. Why can't Tennessee win 7 or 8 games? I think that's absolutely a possibility if Cam Ward is just decent. I think that's very much on the table. Okay, the Las Vegas Raiders. And, again, I do not think the Raiders will be a playoff team, mostly because their division is just brutal with the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos. But there's a world where this is the most improved team in the NFL. And it starts at the top. Mark Davis finally hired competent people. Like, that's really where these teams have success first. It starts with the owner picking smart people to run his football team. So you hire Pete Carroll, who, yeah, he's in his 70s, but he just knows what he's doing. John Spytek was under Jason Light in Tampa for a long time scout, very well respected. That's a good hire at GM. Geno Smith is a good NFL quarterback, certainly a major upgrade from Aiden O'Connell, even the last year or two of Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo. Like even if Geno takes a small step back in Vegas, he is still far better than what they've had in the last 3 or 4 years. They were able to keep Max Crosby. There was some concern that he might request a trade. They end up keeping and extending him. I like the Ashton Genty addition. Honestly, if you put them in the AFC South, like I just talked about with Tennessee, they could be in the mix to be the second best team in that division. They'll probably finish 4th behind the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos, like I mentioned, but could they be like a really feisty 7-win team? I think that's very much a possibility because they're just run by adults now. Like, they have people in charge that are good. The quarterback is solid. They should be able to run the football. The defense has some holes, but you've got Max Crosby. I just think this will look like a real team, and we haven't been able to say that in a while. That brings us to the Patriots. Slept on's probably a stretch here because they've kind of been a trendy pick to be a wild card team, but they still won 4 games last year. So that would still be quite the jump, right? A little trendier, but I think there's reasons for optimism that people have pointed out. Number one, Mike Vrabel, I think his best attribute is that he squeezes a lot out of less. Were any of those Titans teams truly elite on paper? He had Ryan Tannehill and Marcus Mariota as his quarterbacks. He signed Josh Dobbs off the street in a winner go home game, and they almost beat the Jags in 2022. Like, he finds a way to squeeze every drip of talent out of his roster. And now he's got the most talented quarterback he's ever coached. Now, that doesn't mean Drake May is going to be better than Ryan Tannehill, but he certainly has a lot more talent. I like the Travion Henderson pick. There's still holes there. I don't think this roster is necessarily playoff caliber, but I think Mike Vrabel alone probably gets you a couple wins that you shouldn't get. So hover around 500, bad division. Only Buffalo is a clear better team with Miami and the Jets also in there as well. I think they could win 8 games, maybe even 9, and sneak into the playoffs as the 7th seed or something like that. I just think Vrabel is a really good coach that does a lot with less talent at times. Okay, who is the most slept-on team in the NFL heading into this season? What say you? I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section below on this video. And again, don't forget to subscribe. It takes literally a second. It would mean the world. And check out our videos. Give us a shot. If you're not a fan, you can always unsubscribe later, but I would greatly appreciate it. It's 100% free. We'll be sure to see you guys next time here on 4 Verts.